Hi guys. Okay, so we're going to talk about Bitcoin today. We had another monthly close, and what I want to share with you guys is basically, in short, if we want to buy something or want to sell the top, you need to sell, and it's going to be something that's going to be extremely bullish. So the undertone for today's video is that I am still bullish, but I'm seeing the momentum lost. The monthly close for Bitcoin wasn't what it was supposed to be. And as a result, I have to adjust my own personal bias from being bullish to being neutral. Okay. Doesn't mean that it can't go on higher and new momentum can enter the market, but it's just a reality that we have to live with. Okay. Doesn't mean that I'm not taking any risks and buying some alts that are in really good areas, but it's just the reality that we have to live with. Okay. So if you can buy in on the idea that selling the top, selling into strength is literally selling when the market is pushing all-time highs and it's extremely bullish. The same is then also going to be true for selling into buying into weakness or trying to buy a bottom. It's buying something that obviously for the rest of the public looks like it's going to go lower. There is no hope. That is buying a low and selling the high. Okay, so if that tickles your fancy, join me for a stream, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and let's get going. So I'm going to bring up the charts. And let's quickly then have a look at Bitcoin on the monthly. So why is the monthly for me a problem? Okay, so in the monthly, we've closed weak. So we had really two good, strong months leading up to pushing 112, or nearest makes no difference, $1,000 for BTC. And now we've got a weak month. And it's the early signs of an evening star on the weekly time frame. Now, it's not necessarily there yet, like I said. But there's two critical levels that you need to keep an eye on. Level being the upper end of this month, the June month, $110,000. And then obviously the lower end of the area is at $98,000. Now, what the market typically will do after a month like this is once we cross either side of the month, the move would be violent. So it's the same as living in this month now. So whatever happens going now, if we cross the upper end, the move would be violent. So we could expect a strong move pushing price from 110K, probably even north to 150K. It could be extremely violent. Okay, so that's the key. So the weak momentum for us, and this gave us an early evening star pattern. And momentum is clearly lost after Bitcoin trying to attempt an all-time high. Now, what do I mean by that? On the weekly time frame, you can see that we've got strong bearish divergence leading on to strong bearish divergence again. And as always, as I say, ignore strong bearish divergence. It's a bullish signal until what? We fall below that originating pivot area as support. And we are flirting with that now consistently. We had a weak close below it, and then we had a weak bounce up above it again. And this week, we're already leading back in. So we're flirting with this area, which means the market is choppy. It's losing momentum. And that's ultimately really bad. So the weekly time frame has strong bearish divergence. And if price closes below $105,000, we could potentially push to 88. Why? Because it's fair to assume that a move like this would at least go and test the next area where support was or where resistance was created. There was resistance. We made a lower low. We got above it. It's fair to assume that we will test that range at the minimum. And then still, potentially, we could be bullish. Okay, so that's something to look out for. And that is why I'm optimistically bullish in the alts. Because even a test like this could see the alts then show some signs of strength. We're going to be looking at alts later on during the stream. Okay. The next thing that I want to share with you guys is obviously the 4-hour time frame setup. So we're going to go to the 4-hour and I'm going to zoom out because this is for me where the pulse is, trade for a living. What we're trying to do is get in on the moves. So Bitcoin started the month and we've created supply, made a low, created supply, made a lower low. So what does this channel, this descending channel mean for us? Every time we created supply, we tested it, confirmed that it is there, and made a low. Created supply, tested it, confirmed that it's there, and made a lower low. And every time we tried to test demand, we failed. So the question is, this market is looking for demand at the moment. Clearly, supply is winning at this stage. So if it's looking for demand, where would a good deal be? Where would demand kick in? So if we zoom out, we look at the last time we had demand, we were sitting at $102,000. So every time when we go to $100,000, the market is giving us signs that it wants to, that demand is kicking in. But the problem is, every time that happens, we've not made a higher high. So the market will potentially try and avoid going into this area here and try and bounce in the middle range, which is where that $105,000 live for the weekly, to try and make that higher high. So the 4-hour time frame for me is a critical thing, because that's why the current trade direction would be that of a short. Okay, so in short, despite the bull's best efforts, okay, we're not making higher highs on the 4-hour, and the 4-hour is trending bearish as a result. Okay, so it means that a breakout of this hedge, this is a little bit of a hopium, a bullish sign. This can tell us then that the market could go to 150. So let's look at that. Why can I be so crazy? Can I be so heavily bearish and then be so optimistically bullish? Okay, so I'm going to just clean up real quick. This is another thing about doing it live. There's no edit, cut, you seen bullshit. Okay, so if you zoom out and you look at this, what we're creating now on the 4-hour is a descending channel, or a bull pennant, or whatever. There's so many patterns. Bull flag, okay, meaning this. But all of these basically points to the fact that if we do have a breakout, the measured move approach would be, you would typically take the flagpole, you'll take the flag, or the bull flag, and then you will move that on, and there's your $130,000. Or in some cases, people do this, there's your $140,000. So there is that hopium, that potential for higher move. But channel patterns, they need to function in the same way as any other setup. You need to have divergence to get an entry. You need to have a little bit of momentum to enter the market back. So that's why I say that I'm going to try and play. And you can see this RSI is falling to the floor, trying to get us hidden bullish divergence, something to try and rescue this move. And it means that maybe 105. I'm not hoping for 102. Maybe 105 is as good as it's going to get. That's when I'm going to start trying to long this, because if we can break out, we're going to have all the supply that's going to push price up. Now, what does this mean by speed and supply? It means that everybody that shorted here, that didn't take profit on the short, their promises to buy is going to sit there. Why? Because a stop order is a promise to do something. Stop order from a long is a promise to sell if price goes lower. And a stop order is a promise to buy if price goes higher, if you're shorting the market. So all these supply zones sitting in here, they've got stop orders sitting right there. A sea of them saying that if the market turns on us, we're going to push quickly, because they're going to have to vacate their short positions, and they will be forced to buy the top. Okay, now that's bullish if ever there was one. Okay, so over to the closing remarks for this. Key levels to watch. Okay, so the monthly close for me at this stage with this evening star pattern is that, let's go back there, monthly candle, the evening star pattern, key levels to watch. If we fall below 98, things are going to get bearish quickly. Okay, so we don't want to see that. And if we go above 110, things are going to get bullish quickly. We all want to see that. So these are levels to watch. And while that is happening, expect the market to be choppy as hell. Expect the market on the 4-hour time frame to be going up and down, seesawing, trying to figure out what it wants to do next. Okay. What else do we have? Okay, the weekly suggests that we're going to go to 105, 104. This is now being a little bit more conservative before we can attempt new highs. And this will give us, and this is now the nice thing, this will give us our altcoins sometimes for them to test the lows and maybe give us some really good buys. So let's have a look at some of those altcoins like SUI. So let's unpack SUI real quick. When we go through an accumulation phase, statistically, there's this fib level that I use that will always give us a really good idea of where the market is looking for a continuation. So if you're a DCA and you're trying to buy in spot, dollar cost averaging, you'll buy a little SUI there, then you'll buy a little SUI there, then you'll buy a little SUI there. And if it goes below that, you'll stop buying SUI, and then you'll wait for another trend to emerge before you buy a little bit more. So that is typically how this works. And the argument is that we're looking for divergence, hidden bearish divergence on these lows, and also hidden strong bearish divergence on the highs, so that we can establish a complete wave set or an emotional market cycle, something like this. Oops, wrong one again, probably. Why has it moved? There you go. It's now the third one. Something like this. So I'm trying to look for an emotional market cycle, and then I'm trying to predict where this depression is going to kick into the market, so that we can get in on these lows. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do there, and statistically, that's the level to consider. Now that we've moved on, we've made another move, we've made a low, and we're trying to do just that again. So we're trying to look for the divergence, lower low on the RSI, hidden bullish divergence is there. Strong bearish divergence occurred at these levels. This one doesn't look as pretty as this one, but it's got all the same moves, everything identical as a fractal. Okay, and we moved into this area. So maybe we're early. Maybe we're at that first knee jerk. We're sitting somewhere there, probably going to chop around. And that's why I'm still bullish optimistic for Bitcoin on the monthly. Maybe Bitcoin needs to screw us around a little bit more so that we can do this, and then it's off to the races. Okay, so I'm really bullish on this for that reason. The same for OP. Let's just quickly have a look at OP. It's going to take a second to load. While that happens, let's open this. So the reason I'm saying this is that there is a couple of altcoins that you can see that is consistently being outperforming Bitcoin. AERO being one of the favorites we've been looked at. Say had a nice little move ever so long ago. Bitcoin Cash is probably there. This is one of the early calls that I shared with you guys 2-3 months ago, outperforming Bitcoin consistently. And there's some of these coins that have not done anything just yet. So you can see they're on the list. OP, they're here. They still need to play catch up. So there might be a little bit more move happening in there for them. So let's have a look at OP. So OP had a horrible couple of months. We've looked to try and double our money here, way back. We bought OP here, trying to look for more. And then what did we get? We got hidden bearish divergence, and OP sold off more. And now we're at the launch dump lows. And if ever there is a time for OP to be as cheap as it should be for the potential upside that it could give, now is that time. Because if we fall below 40 cents for OP, it's going to be a free fall to try and look for a base. Now, I've over-exaggerated. I'm saying it's going to go minus $1.40, but you get the idea, because now people are going to ask a question. If that isn't a support, there's a problem. So the big thing is whales accumulating OP should be defending this. So the question is, who's defending this? It's definitely not the public, because the public is scared shitless of it. So the big question is, do you want to enter on? You want to buy into weakness? Okay. You want to buy a dip? This is as a dip should look. Scary as hell, bad for your health, that kind of thing. Okay. Buy the dip. And then if the market wants to turn around and turn this, if the whale accumulation that I'm suspecting is happening here because of the divergence takes hold of this, we could see a really fast move back to $1.20 before this reaccumulates and continues onwards. Okay, there you have it. Everything that I wanted to share with you guys. Over to the comments. Let's see if there's any questions, anything else, and then we'll take it from there. Before we do that, though, just a kind reminder, guys, support the content. Open your Blowfin account using my partner link. It will give you access to features in the Discord. You can head over to the navigation channel. You can click on the Get Partner role in my Discord. Links to everything is in the video description, and you can claim your Blowfin role there. So what it will do is it will open a one-on-one chat channel with you where you can send me your TradingView username, where I'll give you access to my buddy indicator, as well as, depending on how big a deposit you make, access to the features I do have in my Discord. Okay, there you have it. Over to the comments real quick. Let's do that. And just to take note, in the Discord, everything that is said today has been minuted, so you're more than welcome to head over to the Discord and go get your notes there. Okay. Let's see. Morning, Renee. Let's see, is there any questions? Can you look at the Louvre in a weekly time frame? Okay, I can probably do that, but let's quickly have a look at what's it? Louvre. I don't know this. Okay, let's see. ILUV. That's what you're saying. It's not picking. Is it illuvium? Maybe you need to give me a better thing. I don't know what you're looking for. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, but it might be illuvium you're looking for. Yes. Okay. So let's have a look at illuvium. So illuvium weekly time frame. This is bad because it is now the exact danger that I'm talking from. I'm just waiting for TradingView to load. As I'm getting ready for the stream, all of a sudden, then TradingView starts doing this. I don't know why. So if you think about what I just said with OP with you guys. Okay, the thing is, I'm hoping that this is going to happen with Optimum, and obviously more so. The danger is exactly just that. If you fall below that launch dump lows, things get cheap, really nasty. Okay, so this is the problem. So let me just make the screen a little bit bigger. Okay. So this is the OP chart. Bring it up. Okay. Launch dump, bearish divergence. We're at that critical point. So with this one, what do we have? We had low on the RSI, higher low, things looking good, and then guess what? All of this was already below the support level. So there's your sign that this is not necessarily good. So I'm hoping, firstly, that OP is not going to do this, because then there's your exit and things are going to get horribly cheap. And then for this, now this thing is trending so bearish at the moment that let's invert the scale and ask yourself, if you look at this, is this screaming for more or screaming for a reversal? Yes, it's screaming for a reversal. At some stage, one would say, hey, at least it's going to go there before it continues on lower. So there is some signs here that this thing could have a little bit of a respite in the punishment, because I think if you're sitting in this and you're sweating bullets, okay, have a little bit of a respite. When will that happen? I don't know. Hopefully with the macro movements with Bitcoin, if Bitcoin decides to go ballistic a little bit, this would give us that move to the upside. Let's just re-invert this to fill this imbalance. But once you go to that zone, it's get the hell out still, because this thing is trending bearish. So there is an imbalance there. So there's time for price to capture liquidity around these levels, okay? But it's get the hell out, because until this thing starts stepping up and turning bullish, it's probably just going to keep on dumping. Simple as that. Treat the trend as if it's going to last forever, you know? Let's see, klinkt soos my portfolio, alles in die dollar. Okay, let's see, bullish. These altcoins are dead. Just go for the winners like Pepe. Listen, man, I think everybody needs to draw a line on where it is. But for me, I'm looking for consistent outperformers. And if you go through this list, I mean, you'll probably see there's a few coins that now, for the last 90 days, this is not for the last week, for the last 90 days have performed. And Pepe, in relation to Bitcoin, has only given you 3% more. That's it. Yes, it would have done way more if you looked at Pepe from launch price. But let's be honest, nobody gets in. Not everybody gets to buy the bottom, the ultimate bottom, and not everybody gets to sell the ultimate top. So there's always going to be that little piece of meat to top the bottom of the bones you're going to leave behind. So it's performing really well. So it's on the list. Nothing wrong with that. But it's a meme. I have to believe that there has to be more to crypto than just memes. Okay. So, yeah, there you have it. AERO is slowly but stepping up. moving up a little bit higher. So AERO is getting stronger. I shared AERO a little bit earlier as well. So let's quickly have a look at where did I share the AERO chart? So AERO, the idea is we're trying to look for 70 cent buy for AERO, and AERO now, I don't think my chart's going to load fast enough. Let's quickly see if we can get this thing loaded fast enough. There we go. Well, it was moving a little bit, but now it's retracing. So it's still building a base in this area, and I still believe that AERO then has really good potential for us to at least go to $1.50 thereabout. So keep an eye on that. It's gone through all the accumulation. There you have it. And it is trending. It's consistently outperforming BTC. So it's worth noting. Okay. That's everything for me for today. Thanks, guys, for taking time, spending some time with me today. I see ENA, but it keeps disappointing. That's the thing about the market, though, Mario, is that it can stay wrong for longer than we can stay solvent or interested, for that matter. So I always say take things level by level, because it's just one of those things. I've got ENA bags that I'm still holding on. You know, remember that double your money, sell half, then that remaining bag's just sitting there, that kind of stuff. So I've got bags like that. I've got ENA that I bought the other day, you know, and it is one of those things where the market can literally just keep on disappointing you. And in the alt season, I think, was a big disappointment. And I was thinking about this morning when I woke up. I said to myself, I'm going to end off with this idea, is that, you know, in the previous markets, there was about, you know, a few thousand. We had in the high in 2018 bull market. At the high, we had about 20,000 altcoins to choose from. We're currently sitting with 17 million altcoins to choose from, according to, and growing. So maybe the disappointment lies in the fact that there's so many more coins. I mean, there was 20,000, now 17 million. Everybody's got a coin these days. Okay. And what it means is that maybe the market's not going to give you the 10,000 X's, but it's giving you 17 million coins that could potentially just go up 20% on each, and then you sell on to the next one. After the fact, it's always useless news, useless to think about. But maybe that was the market's way of saying, okay, right, you've given me so many opportunities, so many coins, it's going to change the life. Maybe we should have been less greedy with some of these coins. So I think the time for us to just say it's going to go make a new higher high, just be patient, hodl, is finally dying. You know, you're going to have to learn to take these things level by level, not have blind faith and hope and say it's going to go. Don't worry, just give it another 4 years. Because the market clearly has changed. The market conditions has changed. So yeah, frustrating things nevertheless. Thanks so much, guys. You have a lovely day, and I will speak to you again on Thursday. Cheers.